travels. Today we're going to talk about applying for the Working Holiday Youth Visa over in France as a Canadian citizen. Canada and France have a bilateral agreement that youth under 35 years old can participate in the program. This visa is super unique because although you have the ability to go over there and work if you want, you also don't have to. You can simply live as a tourist. You also don't need to already have a job offer to go and apply for the program. You can simply apply for it now and decide later if you would like to work or not. The main reason behind the visa is actually tourism and just simply exploring France's culture. In order to be eligible for the program, you need to meet the following requirements. Number 1, you need to be 35 years of age or younger. You can apply up until the date of your 36th birthday. Number 2, you need to be a Canadian citizen. Number 3, you need to have a Canadian passport, and it needs to be eligible up until 6 months past the date that you plan on returning back to Canada. And number 4, you need to have at least 2,500 euros in your bank account, which is equivalent to about 3,600 Canadian, depending on what the currency is at the time. So make sure when you go to apply that you check out what the currency rate is at and make sure that you have that amount of money in your bank account. The documentation that you will need to apply is as follows. The first thing you need to do is put in an online application for the visa itself. This is done through the France government website. This website can simply be found by Googling France online visa. I'll also show you a little bit later in the video what the website looks like and how to apply. The next thing you're going to need is to go get a photo ID for your application. I would suggest going to Staples. They were super helpful when we went there. You just need to ask for the France visa photo and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. I did try going to London Drugs and unfortunately they said they couldn't do the photos for us for some reason, so I would recommend trying to go to Staples because they were super helpful. The next thing that you'll need is to not only bring your passport with you, but also you need to photocopy your passport as well, obviously in color. I think you just need to photocopy the pages that have stamps inside of them, but I'm a little crazy, so I photocopied the entire passport, but I think they only ended up taking the pages with the actual stamps. Another thing that you're going to need is you need to purchase travel insurance for your entire trip over in France. I would say that the easiest way to do that is through VFS Global, which is the third-party company that actually manages the whole visa process. So that's who you'll be having your visa appointment with. It's super simple. You can just Google VFS Global Travel Insurance and they'll have you fill out like where are you going, how long, that sort of thing. And it will come up with 3 or 4 quotes with different companies. And yeah, I would just suggest doing it that way because not only was it like pretty inexpensive, I think ours was 350 or 400 Canadian each. That's for an entire year. But also you get all the documentation that you need. You need to provide, like they provide you with a letter that you need to have for your appointment. Also like the receipt of payment, the brochure, all the little documents are all there and easy to download once you've purchased the insurance. The next thing that you need is you need to write out a letter of motivation, which is basically why you want to go over to France, what you're planning on doing, where are you planning on staying. Just for some extra brownie points for our letters, I put that we had hired a language tutor to try and learn French. This letter is just something that you yourself type out. It doesn't need to be notarized or anything like that, but I would recommend, formatting it nicely and issuing it to the consulate in Montreal, because they're the ones who actually process the visas. The other thing that you need is either proof of your return ticket home, or you can write a letter of intention to return. So, for instance, in our letter, I just put, that we're going to return prior to this date and we have more than enough financial resources to do so. Because I think that's their biggest concern, is that you're able to pay to come back home at the end of it. Again, it's just another letter that you write out yourself. Doesn't need to be notarized or anything like that. Another thing you need to bring is the 3 months of bank statements that prove that you have 2,500 euros. Make sure on your bank statements that it has your name and address and all of that, so that they can easily prove, okay, this is your account, even with the account number and everything. I know it might seem like a safety thing, or a privacy thing, but you need to have all of that information on there. You can easily download this on your banking app and just print out the 3 months proving that you have 2,500 euros in there. So we had a little bit of a weird situation. When we put in our visa application, they also said on the checklist that you'll receive that we need a criminal record check and a doctor's note. I also called VFS Global and they confirmed that yes, you need those documents in order to apply. So, me and my husband went to Commissioners Canada and got our criminal record checks done, waited in the mail, got a doctor's note, which is a little bit hard when you don't have family doctors. So we did all of that, brought it to the appointment, and they said, oh no, you don't need either of those documents. So, and I know another person where the same thing happened. So you might want to just play it safe and get those documents, but everyone that I have heard of has not needed to provide them. So that's just a little FYI, a little bit of a weird situation. Yeah, and that's all the documentation that you're going to need. It's quite a lot, so make sure when you go to your appointment, you've got it all printed out and organized and ready to go. All right, so step 1 is applying for the visa online on the French government website, which I explained earlier. Again, you can simply just Google France visa online and we'll take you right to the portal, and I'll just do a little demo here to show you what the website looks like.
So this here is what the France visa website looks like. When you just scroll down here, there's a few different options. So the first option, which is super handy, is a test that you can take to determine what kind of visa you'll need. So if we just click here, it's super simple to fill out. So in my case, nationality. So I am Canadian. So you fill out Canada. My age is 28. Am I married to a French national? Unfortunately not. Do you join or travel with a family member from an EU country? No, I'm not. Place of submission of application. So this will be for Canada again, because that's where I'm applying from. Visa type. If you're doing the Youth Working Holiday Program, it is a long stay visa, which is over 90 days. Main destination of stay for us is France. So you just click on France there. And travel document for me is an ordinary passport. Alrighty. And the issuing authority of your travel document, which if you're a Canadian like me would be Canada. And then you just press search. And here we go. It tells you, okay, you need a visa unless you are, any of these different areas. A citizen of the European Union. No, I'm not. So now you can put in your plans. So for this type of visa, it's actually under Other, the working holiday visa. So make sure you click Other. And the main purpose of stay, you'll see here, is the working holiday visa. But of course, if you have a different situation, you know, the different options here, if you're going to study and that sort of thing, you would put it in there. And then search. And there you go. It tells you also everything that you'll need for the working holiday visa, which I have outlined in this video as well. But your travel document, passport, ID photograph, letter of motivation. This one's interesting, as I explained also in this video. It says here that you need a medical certificate as well as a clean criminal record check. But when I went to my appointment at VFS Global, they advised me that we don't actually need this document. So, you know, we kind of waste a little bit of time and money on that. But you do not actually need those two documents when applying for the working holiday visa. At least in our case, we didn't. And one other girl that I know, same situation. They told her that she needed the documents, but again, at the appointment, they said, no, you don't actually need them. Again, the proof of subscription to the travel insurance, and then your 3 months of bank statements equivalent to 2,500 euros. So next here, I will just show you where you'll need to go to actually apply for the visa. So that is the second option here, start your visa application. So in order to actually apply, you're going to need to create an account. So just scroll down here. You can also create a group application, which is what I did for my husband and I. So that is an option. And then you'll actually book a group appointment at VFS Global, but I'll talk about that later. So just scroll down here and click Access the Visa Application. And you'll need to create an account. So yeah, your last name, first name, email, that sort of thing. And then they'll send an email to your email address, and you're going to have to verify the account through your email. And then once you've done that, you'll be able to just simply click Create Application and just go through all the different steps of applying.
One thing to note when you're applying is you cannot apply any earlier than 3 months leading up to when you're planning on leaving. For example, if you were planning on leaving March 1st, you cannot apply any earlier than December 1st. Yeah, and they're very strict on that, so don't even try to apply any earlier. Just wait for the 3 months. You know, the application process should only take maybe a month or two, so you should be totally fine. Another thing I should mention is when you're filling out your application, they are going to ask for an address that you're staying at. It's totally fine to just put an address of a hotel you're planning on staying at or an Airbnb. That's what we did. I just put in the name of the address of the hotel that we'll be staying at for the first week in Paris. Also, you're going to want to have your passport handy because they're going to ask for your passport number and the expiry and everything. So just make sure to have it with you when you're applying. The online application is super awesome because you can save and leave at any time and come back to the application. So it's not like a lot of them where like, okay, this is it. You have time to get more information if you need to. It also asks for the name and phone number and address of your employer. I don't think that they contact your employer. It's just something that they want. So yeah, just make sure that you have the address and phone number handy for your employer because it is something that they're going to ask for. When you're done the whole application, you'll get the final, and you'll want to make sure that you save and print that off, as well as it comes with a receipt. Save and print both of those documents off because you need them for your appointment. And once you're done with all of that, you go to submit your application, and then it will lead you to a screen that asks, have you booked your visa appointment yet. So that's good. The next thing you need to do is go to VFS Global. You can just Google it, and I'll actually show you a video now of what the website looks like.
Just going to quickly show you here what the VFS Global website looks like. So this is the website that you'll need to go to in order to book your visa appointment. So all you need to do is scroll down and click on the Book an Appointment Now function. And you'll want to do this after you have already filled out your online application on the France Visa website. So you just simply click Book Now. And since you've already filled out your application, you can go down to option 2, a few more, and then you just say, I accept, book your appointment now. And you'll want to be careful because VFS Global manages visas all over the world. So make sure if you're a Canadian applying for the France visa, you use the address that's in the box here. You can also find it just by Googling like VFS Global, Canadian applying to France. But yes, you need to make sure that you have this address. So then from here, you're going to have to create an account, obviously just by going through I don't have an account. And then once you've done that, you'll be able to look at slots and book your appointment. Again, make sure that you have your registration number from applying for the actual France visa online.
Yeah, another thing just to reiterate is the booking for the VFS Global appointments can be pretty crazy and finicky and a little bit anxiety producing. Some days I would look and there would be no appointments at all for any time and any date. So they just completely shut down all booking. But then on other days it would show full availability. Another thing to note is they only show the month that you're currently in. So if you're trying to book an appointment a month in advance, you can't do that. You have to book it the month of, which, you know, is a little bit hard. Like, we live in Victoria and had to take the ferry over to Vancouver, and, you know, I had to go on a flex day and that sort of thing. So it's hard to plan when you're only able to book within the month. So that's just something to be aware of. And it is Monday to Friday business hours. So, you know, they don't have weekend appointments or anything like that. But don't panic if all of a sudden you look and there are 0 appointments. Another thing I'll say is they had really good availability. Like, you're able to book, you know, within a week. Like, it's not like 6 months out or whatever, right? It's like there's appointments everywhere and it's not a big deal. All right, and step 2, actually attending the appointment for the visa. So we applied in Vancouver because we're from Vancouver Island, and the visa center was right downtown Vancouver. It was a little bit tricky to find. It was a little bit hidden, and, you know, anxiety was high. I was a little bit stressed, but I will say, like, I read a whole bunch of reviews about VFS and all these horror stories. They were awesome. Like, they were so nice and, like, just easy to work with. There was no problems whatsoever. My appointment was so fast. I think it was under 30 minutes, and they do schedule it for an hour and a half per person. But if you have everything ready to go, laid out, your appointment will go a lot faster. Once again, I'm just going to reiterate all of the documents that you need to have printed out. Make sure you print them and bring them with you, because you're not allowed to bring your laptop in. They're not going to print stuff for you, so you got to just have it. You know, it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared in this situation. So you're going to need your appointment receipt and confirmation for VFS Global. So when you go to book the appointment, you're going to have to pay, I think it's $40 for the fee and $40 to get the visa mailed back to you when it's done. You need to print that out and the confirmation of your appointment and bring that with you because they ask for that right off the bat. You won't even be allowed into the room unless you have that receipt. As well, you need to have your printed actual visa application, like I had said earlier, from the France government website, and that also has a receipt with it that you need to make sure that you have as well. You'll notice it will have the registration number and a barcode. Print off both of those documents and bring them with you. Again, bring your passport with you. As well, you need to bring the photocopied version of your passport in color. Bring your ID photograph with you. Bring 2 of them just to be safe. Your 3 months of bank statements that prove that you have 2,500 euros. Your letter of motivation for going to France. Your return ticket home or letter of intention to return home. Your travel insurance documents. So when you're at the appointment, they'll go over everything with you and make sure that you have everything that you need. They won't even put it in if you don't have everything that you need. So yeah, I think that's everything that you need to have. They'll also take your biometrics at the appointment. So they're going to take your fingerprints and they bring you into a little room and take your picture and that sort of thing. Of course, they take your passport, so you can't go anywhere until you get, the process is over. But it should only take a month or 2. So just be aware that you're not going to have your passport for a little while. The fees, like I just mentioned, I think is about $90 in total for the $40 or $50 visa fee and then the $40 or $50 fee to get the passport mailed back. So they send it off right away and they provide you with a UPS tracking number that you can follow along. And they also send you an email from the consulate in Montreal once they are processing your application. And we got our email within like 2 days. So they sent it right off and they got it right away. And there's also visa tracking that you can actually find through the France government website. You just scroll down and it says for VFS Global and you click and there's a link to visa tracking and you just put that registration number that they sent you in the email to say that it's being processed at the consulate in Montreal, and you put in your birthday and then you can enter it and it will tell you where your visa's at. All right, so that is the steps for applying for the Youth Working Holiday Visa in France as a Canadian citizen. I'm just going to show you a quick demo of a website that I think you'll find super helpful. So goodbye for now and thanks for watching.
And I just want to show you here a website that I found that is so helpful through this process. I was researching for days and days and I could not find anything on like the documentation and the steps for applying for the visa. And out of luck, I came across this website. Thank you, Julie. It is just absolutely in-depth throughout the entire process, step by step. If you're like me and like to have everything like clearly laid out for you on a website that you can follow, it's all right here. And I'll make sure to link this in the description of the video. But it has everything, eligibility and all the different documentation. If you scroll all the way down, there's the separate links for each and every single step of the process. It is the most helpful website I could find. So hands down, if you're applying for the Youth Working Mobility Program, go to this website and follow the steps. It is extremely helpful.